don't you go home, rest, watch some TV, die. It doesn't matter, because you know what? As my first official act as full-time principal, you are fired.
Here's what you missed on Glee. Sue Sylvester committed enough workplace violations to be fired before the opening credits, yet somehow became one of the greatest comedy characters television has ever seen. More importantly, she would never survive TV today. And that's what you missed on Glee.
Have informed me that you gave them the New Directions set list.
You have no proof.
The set lists were on Cheerios letterhead.
I didn't do it.
They say from the desk of Sue Sylvester.
Circumstantial evidence.
They're written in your handwriting.
Forgeries.
Glee ran from 2009 to 2015 and was a show that follows a show choir at McKinley High School, focusing on Rachel Berry, a talented, ambitious, and incredibly obnoxious character, hell-bent on becoming a Broadway star. Of course, like any high school show, you have the jocks, the cheerleaders, who are determined to bring down the choir, New Directions, at the demand of Sue Sylvester, the cheerleading coach. It is also worth noting that Glee was created by Ryan Murphy, creator of American Horror Story. You don't need that information, but there it is. You're welcome. Sue is for the most part the main antagonist of the show, spending years trying to destroy New Directions and their teacher Will Schuester. The only way to describe her would be totally and utterly unhinged in every single way. But despite that, she is a fan favourite and one of the main reasons the show worked so well. That being said, it was a show of its time, and I highly doubt the humour would ever be accepted by today's standards. And I will tell you why. When Glee began, it was paraded as a show that was diverse and inclusive. However, it was filled to the brim with negative stereotypes and more often than not, the most offensive jokes you could ever hear leaving Sue's mouth. She began as the funny antagonist, but as the show went on, continued to push the boundaries for what was acceptable and what was just mean and bullying and really offensive.
Get my little toothbrush out and I clean it all weekend long.
You know, the way you use your mental illness to help these kids is really inspiring. And I'm shocked you're not married.
However, the show never presents her as someone you want to be like. She is exaggerated to the point of absurdity. We rarely agree with the things she says, but instead lean into the fact that she is totally and utterly nuts. Audiences today are often quicker to assume that enjoying humour is endorsing it. And it is blatantly obvious that studios are also more cautious with how satire might be interpreted. But the thing is, Sue doesn't target certain people. She targets all of them, including the cheerleaders and the jocks. Everyone gets a turn, from the students to the teachers, parents, the principal, politicians, celebrities, because there are celebrities in the show. Lindsay Lohan pops up. Britney Spears pops up. Everyone and their dog pops up in the show. It's great.
Children!
But this is what made Sue so great. Literally no one was safe from her. If she simply targeted one person or one group, she would be a bully, yes. But because everyone was fair game, she became chaos personified. If Glee premiered in 2026, I could only imagine the outrage on social media. Every episode would produce endless TikToks, Twitter discourse, and calls to remove offensive scenes. It is safe to say that many of her famous one-liners would circulate online and beyond the context of the episode, making it easier for them to be misinterpreted. I mean, here are just a handful of the things she has said in the show. I quote, "So you like show tunes? It doesn't mean you're gay, it just means you're awful. You don't deserve the power of Madonna. Simply put, you have all the sensuality of one of those pandas down at the zoo who refuse to mate. I'm all about empowerment. I empower my Cheerios to live in a state of constant fear by creating an environment of irrational random terror. I like minorities so much, I'm thinking of moving to California to become one." And those are just the family-friendly ones I can give to you right now. The rest would be too much even for YouTube. Comedy has changed, yes. In the early 2000s when the show premiered, comedy leaned into exaggeration with characters like Sue, Michael Scott, and Barney Stinson. They all did utterly deranged things and could be interpreted as deeply flawed people creating utter chaos. Today it feels like mainstream television spends more time explaining why characters behave badly, tending to soften their edges. Feels like in 2026 we love a morally grey character, as we know. I talk about it all the time. Villains who are misunderstood or traumatized. Ultimately, they need to have a reason as to why they act the way they do. However, Sue is simply Sue. Yes, she has the moments of softness, especially when it comes to her sister Jean. And yes, she does soften towards the Glee Club over time, but she never fundamentally changes. She is manipulative and petty and always ridiculous. That is one of the reasons she is so memorable.
Santana, Wheels, Gay Kid, come on, move it. Asian, Other Asian, Aretha, and Shaft.
Another main reason she is so memorable, though, is because of Jane Lynch, who absolutely pulled off this character. Any other actress could have made her utterly intolerable, but Jane Lynch somehow makes you enjoy every single second that she is on the screen. Her timing is impeccable, her delivery and facial expressions on point, and more importantly, she commits completely. It is not just that Sue wouldn't survive modern audiences, it is Glee as a whole. The show wasn't politically correct, the entire show was offensive, everyone was bullied and roasted, and there were stereotypes, comments about people's weight, and endless jokes about disabilities, and Sue became the face of that style of humour. Television would never take that risk today. Studios know now that one controversial clip can dominate the conversation surrounding a show. As a result, writers might be more cautious about creating characters who are intentionally outrageous, even if the audience is meant to laugh at their insanity rather than agree with their actions. There is a chance, though, that she could exist today if she was written differently. Shows like The Boys, South Park, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia show that audiences still embrace the outrageous characters when it is clear they are satirical. They're not impossible to make, it's just the context around them that has become more scrutinised. Yes, perhaps Sue Sylvester wouldn't survive modern television, or maybe modern television just stopped creating characters willing to be this unapologetically outrageous. Whether you loved her or you hated her, 15 years later, everyone remembers her. And that's how Sue sees her. That was cringe. I have regrets about that. But also, as I said, Glee would never survive today. Not to mention, everyone's pretty adamant there is a Glee curse. So I don't think it's the energy we're seeking in 2026 anymore. I loved the show Glee. Let me know in the comments if you did. Obviously, I have been wrecked over the years by the number of tragedies that have come out of this show, especially Naya Rivera. She played my favourite character, Santana Lopez, and her arc with her character discovering her sexuality was so important at the time. Especially for me, I was in high school at the time. And when Santana came out, I came out. It was a big moment in my life. Glee did a lot for me. I will say that. Has it aged well? Unlikely. Will I still talk about it and think about it? All the time. If you haven't watched it, give it a go. You might not like it now. It was of its time, but it was a very important show and did do a lot, despite being filled to the brim with wildly offensive jokes. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.